Good afternoon. My name is Kelly Lamb. I'm the Vice President here at Mila for marketing. Welcome, bienvenue, and willkommen. All of you are hopefully continuing to stay home with your families in this very unique environment we all face, but we want to make sure that we are able to continue to service you, our customers. Many of you have had questions for us about existing products that you own, products that you're interested in possibly buying, and our services that we continue to offer. So through the session, we will give you information on all of that. Mila Live is about giving you information from various different product topics, from dishwashers, laundry, vacuum cleaners. Pour ceux d'entre vous qui ont demandé pour des sessions en français, on est en train de travailler d'avoir des sessions dans les semaines qui viennent. So again, these sessions are fully interactive, they're live, so be sure to either submit your questions from your YouTube account if you're watching us there, or if you're watching us on milalive.ca, in the lower box there's a comment section. So today is a session that is based on feedback that we received from you, our customers. You wanted to know more about induction cooking. So today, again, we brought back our product expert, Mike. Mike, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Kelly.
And I think you're going to do a bit more of a demonstration and hopefully answer some questions our viewers have on induction cooking, because in some ways it is a bit of a myth. So I'll pass it on to you.
Thanks, Kelly. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us and thanks for watching from the comfort of your home. It's my pleasure today to speak to you about our induction cooktops. For some people, induction is still a bit of an unknown quantity when it comes to cooking in the kitchen. But for us here at Mila, this is certainly a favorite category for us as far as cooktops go. We've been building induction cooktops since the late 90s, selling them here in Canada for approximately 15 years. So this is really a tried and tested technology for us. So it's not exactly what we would call new. Relatively speaking, new, yes, but for us here, we've been building it for quite some time, and we've developed some cool innovations that I look forward to speaking to you today about and showing you.
So Mike, maybe we can just start off by just explaining a little bit about induction. I think a lot of people compare it to electric cooktops. What's the key difference between the two?
How about we speak about how they're similar? They look very similar from time to time. Our cooktops, both induction and electric, can actually look to the untrained eye quite similar. But that's where the similarities tend to stop. Induction is quicker, cleaner, much more flexible, and certainly more safe for use in the home. But from a technology perspective, when it comes to cooking with induction, they couldn't be more different. An electric cooktop typically works on radiant heat, where you're heating an electrical coil below the glass ceramic top. That then in turn heats the glass ceramic surface, which in turn heats a piece of cookware, and then that in turn heats the food in your pot. Now, I'm just showing you actually another feature of our cooktops. When you have a cooktop with connectivity 2.0, invariably when you turn your cooktop on, your hood fan also turns on in conjunction and automatically. Really cool feature. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Now, from an electrical perspective, that radiant heat technology is good and effective at heating the material in your pot, but not very quick, but also not very efficient either. You're having to go through multiple layers of media, whereas with induction, you're basically creating an electrical circuit with the pot through a magnetic coil within the cooktop. You're activating it with electrical energy, and then by placing a pot with ferrous material in it on the actual cooking zone, you complete a circuit. Now, once that circuit is complete, you start to agitate electrons in the bottom of the pot, creating essentially a heat source right at the pot. So it's much more direct heat. It's very fast. So fast, in fact, it's one of the qualities I tend to like about induction the most. We have a pot here with some beautifully shaped ice. I'm just gonna turn on a cooktop here. I'm gonna set a boost function because essentially what I want to show you is how we can bring these ice cubes to a boiling, a rolling boil in essentially no time.
So Mike, just to be clear then, so really the pot itself is part of that circuit you were talking about. So without the pot, reality with induction, there's actually no heat being generated on the cooking surface.
Correct, Kelly. So when you put a pot on an induction surface, there is a circuit. As soon as I remove it, all heating has stopped. And of course, that's the beauty of induction. Very little residual heat is left in the actual cooking surface. So from a design perspective, integrating this into your kitchen, an induction cooktop has the added benefit of just expanding your countertop space. So we're going to be melting these ice cubes. So from a high energy output perspective, very high heat, able to be generated quite quickly. And so you're able to bring your sauces to a boil, your water for pasta to a boil quite quickly. But also on the low side, from a simmer perspective, you get some really good gentle heat at really low outputs. For example, when you're having guests over and you want perhaps to have a cheese fondue out for your guests, or maybe your family members in these days, or melting chocolate, for example, for, again, chocolate fondue. We have a cooking surface here with chocolate chips that's been sitting here for maybe 2 hours. And as we look at the pot with ice cubes, no discernible ice is left now. We're starting to see bubbles form. And
that's literally within minutes.
Yeah, so very quick. It's the quickest really in all fuel types. So be it gas, electric, induction is gonna blow all other fuel types out of the water, no pun intended. So we're at a full rolling boil. But like you said, the pot completes the circuit. So as soon as I remove the pot, the rolling boil stops, the heat source is stopped, and essentially you don't have a boil over. But the minute I put it back on, the surface recognizes there's a pot, sends electrical current through that magnetic coil, the eddy currents in the bottom of the pot activate, and then you get this rolling boil again. But if I want to turn that down with our direct select controls, I'm able to, with a push of one of our sensor buttons, control the level of heat quite quickly. So I've gone from a boost function to now a 4 out of 9, and then I can maintain that cooking level.
I think what's amazing that you just showed though is how immediate a reaction it was to actually bring the temperature down. As much as it bringing up to a boil, just by touching that and bringing it down, the pot reacted immediately to that reduction.
I think, Kelly, you'll agree that that's why chefs in professional scenarios really appreciate gas, because of that response. They really need that precision in the kitchen so as not to overcook or damage fragile sauces. And so the flexibility in gas is equaled here with induction, plus the added benefits of obviously efficiency, heat transfer, speed, etc.
But I would say even more so, and you're absolutely right, I think professional kitchens love the aspect of gas for that controllability of the flame, but I think, would you agree, Mike, to say that with induction we're even more precise because I'm not guessing which dial on the gas burner I'm actually trying to turn it to get to a so-called medium heat. In this case, it's 1 to 9, and I can be very precise. And I think that's why chefs love induction. Right. Is in reality it's actually even more precise than gas.
If you're cooking in the kitchen, with gas, you've done this. You've played with the burner. You're checking the height of the flame, and so that kind of all goes by the wayside with induction. Now, that was the high side of the heat equation. Let's get back to these yummy chocolate chips here on the side. Now, we have a cooktop that's just been keeping essentially these chocolate chips warm. And so I'm just gonna grab this spatula and show you kind of how that's melted here, but not burnt on at all. So very gentle, low heat. Where's your little skewer of strawberries, Kelly? A very nice kind of result from just melting chocolate. You're not burning it on, and perfect for marshmallows or but this is an example of how low you can get and how gentle a heat output you can get as well.
Well, and I think for the bakers out there that typically will melt chocolate, they would do it through a double boiler with a pot over another pot of water on the stove. And you know, the great thing about this example is you don't need to do that anymore. And like you said, that's been sitting there for roughly 2 hours this morning, just on a slow heat.
Yeah, I'd hate to have to figure out how to work that double boiler. I'm a bit of an oaf in the kitchen, and so this really takes that kind of guesswork out, the dexterity required to produce amazing results. Now, I was cooking on this burner, this cooking zone here. This is a 30-inch induction cooktop from Miele. It's our KM6357 with PowerFlex. We'll get into that in a minute, but just to remind our viewers today that we have a 3 cooking zone option, 24 inches or 60 centimeters. We have the 30-inch option in 2 different configurations. We have the PowerFlex version as we see it here, but we also have a more traditional configuration with 4 burners or cooking zones. And then we have a 36-inch version with PowerFlex. Now, what's this thing PowerFlex? Why do I keep referring to PowerFlex? It's pretty catchy, I'll admit, but it's actually quite functional as well. PowerFlex is where we're able to basically draw 2 separate and distinct cooking zones to effectively be used as 1 cooking zone. And so I'll demonstrate here now what this PowerFlex is. And before I do that, this was a pot of boiling hot water. It was a pot of ice cubes just before that as well. And I can set this down on this countertop surface, and I can touch this surface here and be rest assured that I am not burning myself. There's absolutely heat in this cooktop, but it's all been transferred from the bottom of that pot to the glass ceramic surface.
So really it's more residual heat from the pot itself that's remaining on the glass surface.
Right, and on the cooktop itself, I have a residual heat indicator as well, reminding me that there's some heat in this surface.
So I think one question, Mike, when we talked about cooktops yesterday with our viewers, one question came to be was, is induction safer than say gas or even electric? So I think that kind of answers a bit of the questions. There are definitely some safety benefits when it comes to induction.
There are a number of them, but that is certainly one of them. The residual heat in the cooktop is much less and lower. There are also some precautions that we've taken here with the cooktop. So for example, there are maximum amount of time per cooking level for each of the cooking zones. So even if you were to be taken out of your kitchen and forgotten that you have something on the cooktop, depending on the level of cooking, the higher, the shorter the time that the cooktop will be left unattended, and it will actually turn off by itself. So there's that safety precaution. In the event that the controls are covered for more than 10 seconds, the cooktop will detect that and also turn off. And in addition to that, there's also a child lock. If you wish to engage, you can press this lock button here, and this essentially disables all activity on the cooking surface as well. So there is no other solution when it comes to safety. If you have small children in the home, if you're worried about gas being a problem, then certainly induction is a good solution for that. Getting back to design integration, I just want to really quickly state that because of all these safety benefits, because of the low residual heat, this cooking surface becomes an extension of your countertop. It is robust shot saran glass ceramic cooktop, and so therefore it is robust enough to set down your groceries as you come in the door. Maybe take a roast out of the oven, make a gravy, and you can place that on your cooking surface without worrying about cracking or damaging your cooktop. It essentially extends the countertop space in your kitchen. So,
Mike, can we take one question, because you had mentioned it earlier. So Lexi Patricia, thanks for joining us today, has a question about Boost. What is this? Because you had mentioned it, I believe, earlier when we were boiling the water.
Right. So Lexi, the Boost function essentially drives up the amount of power in a particular cooking zone, and each of the cooking zones have Boost. 2 of the cooking zones have a double boost or a twin boost, and essentially it draws power from other cooking zones and delivers it to that particular cooking zone. So if you're bringing a large pot of water to a boil, you're going to direct a huge amount of energy, up to about 7 kilowatts of power in a power flex zone, and boost up the electrical energy and therefore reduce the amount of time to essentially have a boil happen, or braising, for example. So boost is a really high powered function. It's never meant to go on for very long. As you saw here with our boost function, in about a minute and a half, we were boiling water that had been in ice form previously. So it's a powerful tool to kind of get huge quantities back up to temperature. So hopefully I answered that question. Now, with PowerFlex, I mentioned we're able to combine 2 cooking zones. So you can imagine this as 2 cooking zones, or as one together, and you can place irregularly sized cookware on them. I happen to have a cast iron grill here. This may look intimidating going onto a glass ceramic surface, but rest assured it's got an enamel finish on the bottom. But for the purposes of demonstration, let's say it was a rough surface and I wanted to protect the look of my cooktop. One of the other benefits of cooking on induction is you're not having the heat transfer through the glass to the cookware. It's actually starting in the cookware. So therefore, I could, if I was worried about scratching my cooktop, place my pot or pan. This is a pretty heavy cast iron grill here. I'm just going to connect the power zones together, making this a PowerFlex zone now. And now I've just put some room temperature water in here, or tap water. I have my hood fan turning on automatically again because it detects the power level I have chosen on my cooktop, and has basically said, let's turn up the fan so I can exhaust. It's a wonderful little option as well, because with some of our hood fans, the connectivity through an RF frequency basically means you never have to go up and touch the hood fan. It's all being done down here.
And I know the viewers can't obviously hear it so easily, but being here, you can already hear the sizzling sound of the water boiling. You see the bubbles forming, which hopefully they can see, but how quickly that actually was. Now, Mike, with the paper towel, I'm sure a lot of people out there as well have things like silpats. Can they use a silpat instead of the paper towel, as an example in this particular case?
Silpats, 100%. Silpats are a great solution in lieu of paper towels. If you have silpats handy, they're a great tool, especially for protecting your cooking surface. I use paper towels. I use silpats. The benefit of a paper towel situation is that it's obviously it leads to great cleanup. If I was cooking a big pot of sauce and I had some bubbling over, and I've had my cooktop, as long as my controls aren't covered, I can quite easily at the end of the cooking process just grab those paper towels, throw them, and I'm done my cleanup. So it's really fantastic from that perspective. And I was just boiling water in this heavy cast iron grill, great for searing steaks, by the way, or a tenderloin, or braising, or making a gravy.
And I think, Mike, you can see that, like with the paper towel, there's no burn marks. There's actually nothing on that paper towel.
Yeah, so it doesn't sear, it won't catch fire. And like I said, from a cleanup perspective, I'm done. I can go enjoy my friends, my glass of wine, my weekend, etc. Okay, so what other cool things? We've explained PowerFlex. I want to show you one other thing.
Oh, sorry, Mike. One quick question, if you don't mind, while you were talking about the 2 zones. So OLED 123, welcome back. I think you've been with us before. The question, Mike, is how did you connect the 2 zones together?
Okay, that's a great question. It's very easy at the touch of really, I'm going to show you on, hopefully the overhead camera can catch this, but I'm going to turn this on. This power bank here controls this PowerFlex area when I select the PowerFlex zone. So this has bridged both zones together. Now this becomes my power level control bank for this now PowerFlex zone. So then I can control from here my PowerFlex zone. So I pair by selecting here, and then I can manipulate the temperatures all through this key bank. I never have to go back to that center point. One of the other features I like to talk about in our cooktop, so now I'll just leave this cast iron pan here. It's running at a 5. I have a pot of water here to the left running at, I'll say a 4, and I'll bring the chocolate back up to 2. And here's another feature I love to talk about in our induction cooktops. It's our stop and go feature. Now, stop and go is essentially what it says it is. At the press of this little pause sensor here, I bring all my cooking zones down to a level 1. I can go attend to the Amazon delivery at my door, sign off, come back in, wash my hands for 20 seconds, come back, and then resume all my cooking zones at the levels that they were at prior to my interruption.
And I think it goes back to our discussion about precision, because again, if you imagine a gas cooktop, you have to turn all the gas off, you have to come back and guess where you had left it off when you actually stopped it, versus with our stop and go function, it brings it exactly back.
Even the act of having to gas down, go back, and then do the lean over, check your flame, where was I, and then resume. Whereas with this, again, press the pause button, take care of life, come back and press the play button. All my cooking zones go back to their originally configured level. So really good feature to kind of platform in the on the topic of modern convenience. Some of the other things that we like to talk about when we show off our induction cooktop include auto zone shutoff. What does this mean? So with the PowerFlex here, this 30-inch induction cooktop, we have 4 cooking zones, or 3 if you combine the PowerFlex zones. We can set individual timers for each of these cooking zones so that they turn off at a predetermined time. So if I know it takes me 7 minutes to bring my chickpeas to a boil, or my eggs take 9 minutes, at level 7, I'm going to demonstrate that with this cooking zone here. I'm going to select level 7. Now I'm going to set a timer that will shut that cooktop off, I'll say in 7 minutes. By clicking or pressing the clock here in the middle, that's our egg timer. And then we select the cooking zone with the flashing dot that's indicating or pointing to that zone there. And then, oh, I didn't do it in enough time. So I'm just going to select the cooking zone, and I'm going to set it for, well, I've set it for 21 minutes. But if I want to reset that, I press and hold. That brings it back to 0. I'm going to select 1 minute. That's all. I'm done. I walk away in 5 minutes, in 1 minute. This cooking zone off to my left that I've indicated with the flashing red dot will turn off in exactly 1 minute. Now, that's a simulation. Of course, that can be a number of minutes. And so very convenient if I have to let the dog out or run to the laundry room to move my clothes from the washer to the dryer and not really have to worry about what I had going on my cooking surface. So auto zone shut off, and I can do that for any of these 4 cooking zones, is a really cool timer function.
Mike, can we talk about one other topic, which I think we get a lot of questions from customers about, which you have a lot of different pots and pans in front of you right now. And there's always a discussion with induction. I think customers sometimes get nervous. Oh my God, do I need really special pans for induction cooking? Do I need to go replace my whole cookware set? Maybe you can talk a little bit about pots and pans and the choice of.
So pots and pans, it comes down to, again, this is magnetic induction that you're having to complete on a circuit. There's my timer going off. I've turned off my zone automatically. I just want to show that really quickly. Thank you very much, auto zone shut off. Just getting back to the cookware question. Magnetic induction demands that there be some kind of ferrous material to be cooking on. Anything with iron in it, stainless steel made with iron will work, but really it boils down to the magnet test. If you have a fridge magnet, and everyone does, or a magnet period, you just want to test out on the bottom of your cookware, and if it sticks to it, you can be assured that there's obviously iron in there and therefore will be able to be compatible with any of our induction cooktops. Cast iron is a great conductor. The better your pots, sometimes better the results, less tendency for there to be vibration or noise emissions. We would say that on the flip side of that, though, if you have copper, unfortunately, copper doesn't have iron and therefore will not work.
But for cast iron, because I know we get that question a lot, like it's not any special cast iron, because I think people have a lot of cast irons that they've seasoned over time, have kept in their family. Really, cast iron is actually one of the great conductors for this cooking surface.
Yeah, and if you have that Le Creuset that you're used to using,
Or Staub in our case.
or Staub in this case, certainly cast iron is a great conductor. You can use the PowerFlex zone for those oblong shapes, and also really nice. Okay, cleanup. I mentioned lining the surface, but obviously a microfiber cloth does the job often quite easily and prevents limescale deposits from forming over time. Paper towel obviously works really great too. And for more regular maintenance, we recommend obviously our Care Collection, which has a glass ceramic cooktop cleaner. We'll talk about that more in a minute.
Mike, do you mind taking a couple of questions right now?
Let's do it.
Okay. So we have Anne-Claire Landry, and her question is, I was told induction cooking was quicker and that I didn't need a high temperature to cook, but I always find it takes quite long and that I always need to cook on 7.
Well, it's a bit of a curve as far as what you were used to perhaps with electrical or gas, so there's no linear correlation for the number system. I can assure you, Anne, that it is certainly quicker. We've demonstrated that here today. We've done tests, obviously, and it's pretty much a fact. When it comes to quickness, there really is no better option. It's certainly induction. Cooking on 7, again, not translatable between perhaps an old cooking appliance and this one. But keep in mind, there is 7, but we go to 8, 9, boost 1, and then boost 2 often. So 7 is really other cooktops 5, depending on where you are. You have that added flexibility, so just keep that in mind. Also, with our induction cooktops, there is a standard between 0 and boost 2, for example, but you can also go into our programming menu and define a further gradient between those numbers. So you can actually go from 1 to 1.5 to 2, so that you have even more variability between power levels. So just please keep that in mind as well.
Let me see, there's lots of questions, Mike, so I'm just going to go through. So Cynthia, welcome back, Cynthia. Cynthia's been in other sessions with us. I found that the keep warm setting turns itself off after a while. How do I prevent this?
Yeah, that's a good question, Cynthia. Our keep warm is where you turn, we didn't really talk about that, but I'll show it on this top left burner here. Just above the number 1 is an icon and basically a plate with some, looks like some heat or vapor coming off of it. And it's our lowest setting on our cooktop, but it maintains a heat of about 65 degrees Celsius for up to 2 hours. So it's basically a prevention measure for leaving it on indefinitely. So 120 minutes is really where it's at as far as the ability to leave that on. Great, by the way, if your guests are running late, you're not going to overcook your food. You're just going to maintain its integrity until your guests can arrive, perhaps. So it's not meant to go on for much more than 2 hours. If you want to do that for more than 2 hours, you can use one of the other cooking levels, like a 1, for example, where you can extend that cooking time into several hours. So just keep that in mind as well.
Mike, Connie has a question. How do you keep Le Creuset, in our case again, Staub pots from scratching the surface? I think we answered that, but if you want to just kind of repeat the options there.
Yeah, with Le Creuset, because it's so heavy, and obviously sometimes the bottom of the cookware is not enameled or finished, we would certainly recommend going with a sill pad. You can find these at most kitchenware suppliers and stores. They're the silicone baking sheets. and they're great at conducting that or allowing for the magnetic field to be intact, but also protecting that surface from fine scratches that would develop over time with regular use.
Thanks, Mike. So Cynthia has another question. I have a rectangular high-sided Miele pan that I presume is intended for the convection oven, but it fits the flex zone exactly. Can I use it on the cooktop as well?
I have a rectangle. Okay, so the one thing there, and I'm pretty sure that a particular pan is induction compatible, most definitely. You can use even something that's larger than the cooking zone as well. So even if it doesn't fit perfectly, you can rest assured that the area that's defined by the cooking zone, that will heat. You may not get heat to outer edges that overlap the cooking zone, so just keep in mind that that is the maximum exposure for heat to occur in the bottom of your surface. But if you stir it, you can definitely go higher or beyond the borders of your defined cooking zone. The other thing is the cooktops themselves have pot recognition. So I know it's not part of your question, but it's somewhat related. The cookware, you would just want to match it up with the zone that looks the most similar from a size perspective. So this sauce pot here would probably be a little bit small for this cooking zone, perfect for this one, so you just want to marry that up. This one would operate just fine. And if I'm heating here, I can rest assured that this outer ring will not heat up. It will only be generating heat in the pot, and therefore this remains cool. And there's my connectivity 2.0 going off again. And so there's that as well.
Thanks, Mike. And Cynthia, for that one as well, as Mike's tip earlier, if you just want to make sure that pan is compatible with the induction, feel free to just take a magnet to the bottom of that, and again, make sure that
of course,
sticks. A couple more questions, Mike, before we have to wrap up. Again, for those of you, thank you for all the questions. If we're not able to get to them all right now before the session ends, we will be sure to leave the answer for you in the comment section, or if your question is a bit more detailed, we will email you a response to that. Mike Alvin has a question. We have the KM6357 PowerFlex Zone cooktop. Please show us the versatility of using the timer and the various options available, which I believe you showed earlier. So Alvin, hopefully that question got answered.
I'll just add, we have the AutoZone Shutoff, which is a timer in and of itself, but it shuts off the cooktop. But let's say if you just wanted an egg timer so that you could do, I don't know, running in place or jumping jacks, you have a timer that's the default timer that comes on immediately when you turn on or press the clock. So just keep in mind that there is just an egg timer if that's what you want.
And maybe one last question, Mike, before we wrap up this afternoon. Question from 123led.com. I have a KM6386 induction cooktop and find when using multiple burners at high speed, one of the burners automatically reduces the heat. Why is that?
That's a great question. That is what we call in induction terms power sharing. It's in that particular situation, you have the 36-inch version of this particular cooktop. So you have 3 burners and then a PowerFlex zone. There are networked pairs of cooking zones on your cooktop. So when you go and use Boost 2, for example, you reduce the ability of the networked or connected pair to be able to operate at any meaningful level. So just keep that in mind. When you go to Boost 2, you're almost sharing power or stealing power from an adjoining cooking zone. So just keep that in mind. And Boost 2, because it's delivering so much power, north of 5.5 kilowatts in the single zone and up to 7 and a bit kilowatts, that's a lot of power. And so it's essentially sharing. As soon as you come off Boost and you go back to even a 9, all your cooktops, all your cooking zones will operate as per normal. So just keep that in mind. There is power sharing. It takes from one zone to deliver high-powered output of Boost 2. So just keep that in mind.
So hopefully 123 LED. The other question you have hopefully got answered with the power sharing explanation that Mike provided. Mike, I think our time's pretty much up. I just want to quickly hand you, this may be the pan that Cynthia was talking about in her question. Cynthia, hopefully that is the one that you're referring to that is intended for your oven. But if it is that one.
Yeah, so what I would do here, obviously this is a kind of a knurled finish. I'm running a magnet to it, and I don't conduct any kind of magnetism out of here. So there's not likely, this is just stainless steel and no iron in it, and therefore it's not gonna work. So just, if this is the pan, unfortunately, not the solution for your induction cooktop, unfortunately.
So Cynthia, hopefully, I'm not sure whether that is the pan, but if you have questions there again, you can contact us for further information. So thanks, Mike. That was truly informative, hopefully for you that are out there. We've been able to answer some of the questions that you have. Unfortunately, our time has quickly run out. If this is a topic that you want to continue to learn more about, leave us some comments in the comment section. And as we introduce new sessions going into next week and the week after, we'll be sure to bring the topic of induction back, so let us know. Mike, you talked about cleaning. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about the products that we have and maybe a special offer we currently have for our viewers that have joined us this afternoon.
Right, so for a limited time only, actually for the next hour or so, up until 2:30 Eastern, you're able to take advantage of a special offer with our Clean Kitchen set. You see it right here. It comes with 3 different items. Our excellent ceramic top cleaner, which is great for bringing your induction cooktop back to life. An oven cleaning spray, which is excellent at cleaning the inside of maybe your speed oven, your regular convection oven. And then only available in this kit is this really good microfiber cloth. This set here, as you see it, is currently on promotion for $19.99. With the entry of the promo code Kelly's going to hold up for us for the next hour, you get an additional 10% off of that. And keep in mind, all our consumables are on currently for
10%.
10% and free delivery.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So again, I think that's one outlet. A lot of questions we're getting right now from you is, what services are we offering? So if you're interested in buying any products from us, that can be appliances, accessory products, cleaning products. There are a couple of options. Miele.ca, our web shop is open 24/7 for you. As Mike said, for the consumable products, our coffee beans, cleaning products, all those have free shipping right now. Plus there's promotions in all of those categories. Appliances, you can also visit the web shop at Miele.ca. If you don't see a product there that you're interested in buying right now, you can also utilize our new personalized product consultation by telephone. It's a new service we're offering where you can go on Miele.ca, request an appointment, and one of our product experts will get back to you to answer any questions you have. So not only if you're just interested in buying a product, if you own our product and have a question, go ahead and use that new feature that we offer. Somebody will get back to you. If you're interested in buying, they can also actually take your order over the telephone as well. Another option you have, many of you, as we are at home, we still want to celebrate, whether it's birthdays, anniversaries with friends or family. We have the Miele gift card that's available. Perfect gift for somebody if you want to gift them so they can put it towards buying a new vacuum cleaner, coffee machine, if they have a coffee machine, one of our coffee beans. So that's available too. And again, continue to watch MieleLive.ca. We have new sessions coming this afternoon. We have a session on Miele vacuums, specifically our cat and dog model, and giving you more insight into that specific model. And at 5 o'clock, we're really excited to do a live cook along. So if you're interested in cooking along with us to have a meal ready for you and your family at the end of the session, we've got a great menu we're doing today using our steam oven and using the menu cooking function in our steam oven. visit milalive.ca for that as well. So before we sign off for today, on behalf of Mike and myself, we want to thank you for joining us, but also on behalf of Mila, to all the frontline workers that are out there right now. We want to really send our appreciation for all the work all of you are doing, whether keeping us, providing medical services to those that need it, for those that are keeping our grocery stores open, food delivery open. All of you, we want to thank you truly on behalf of the Mila family for keeping everybody safe during these very challenging times. We look for your continued feedback. Leave your comments on milalive.ca. We will bring new sessions based on the feedback that you've given us. So again, have a great day. Have a wonderful Easter if we don't see you in other sessions. And we will see you next time on Mila Live. Thank you very much.